let's get into it here real quick. And let's talk about confidence and resilience, because without confidence and resilience, nothing else happens. I'm going to pass it to Shelly so she can talk about some of the factors, and then we'll move around the room so we can get some feedback. Shelly, what do you got?
Yes. Okay. So when I think about confidence and resilience, when I get geared up for prospecting, a couple of things come to mind. Obviously, what you see on the screen, but what's important to me is consistency and repetition. You gotta keep doing it, and there's something to be said about. I know, I'll give you a quick example. Right now, video is hot, and we're going to talk about that. You don't want to just make one video, two videos, and say check, done, here we go, and then not seeing a success and go on your merry way. Like, you have to give it a good, solid chance. So again, you want to be consistent, you want to repeat, and then eventually you want to watch this data. You want to see what's going to come of it, which we'll talk about more. But confidence, and that confidence will come as you start to see the results come in. You see the results by doing over and over. Gabby, Michael, curious to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, I think like confidence, it's all in your head. I would look at it like whenever I'm trying a new experiment, whether it's like a new talk track, maybe I'm trying out a new video or something for prospecting. I think about those things as like being really exciting. And honestly, like I don't really try and worry about the results too much. Like I just try and, like try it out a bunch and then see. There's definitely been times where I've, thought of a new prospecting cold call opener, butchered it on my first try, and I just have to like laugh at myself and say, you know what, like I was gonna mess it up at some point. So now that that's over with, I'm just gonna do it 100 times over and do it really great the next time. So yeah, I think like just repetition in general, like you said, like it's going to build your confidence, and like failures are learnings, and those things, like learning new things and like getting better at prospecting like at your job, that should be really exciting for you. So yeah, definitely like just keep experimenting, and that's definitely, I think that built my confidence as a prospector. And also just make your day.
The experimentation part is massive, and I think we learn a lot. Michael, how do you teach competence at Growth Genie right now?
Yeah, so agree with everything Gabby said. Kind of like a Nike advert, just do it, right? I think in any aspect of your life that's going to help you. But there's I see a lot of talk around this concept of like detaching from the outcome on LinkedIn and different content. But like, how do you actually do that? One of the things we say is like, change your goal so that when you pick up the phone or email someone or whatever it is, your goal is not to book a meeting, which comes from your place of desire and like, booking a meeting, getting a sale. But think, I want to learn something about this person. So change your mindset. So it's more about research, and I want to get to know this person. Because if you pick up the phone and have a conversation and you learn something new off them, even if you don't book a meeting, you've got information you can use the next time you call them, you speak to their colleague. So I think a lot of the mindset is about changing the goalposts and be like, how can I get more information of this person versus I have to book a meeting, even if they're not a good fit.
That's a really good point, Michael, because again, our default, our natural, and this is for all of us, right? SDR or an AE, we want to get to that final goal, that book, that meeting, close the deal, right? But I was also thinking about this the other day, is when you just tweak it just a little bit, is, hey, like maybe what CRM are they using? What sales engagement platform? All of these little nuggets add up to that moment that's supposed to happen when it's supposed to happen. So mindset is huge when it comes to this, which I really like that you guys tapped into this as well.
Good stuff. All right, let's talk about cadence. That's one of the questions that we have in here. And I always like to talk about this because cadence means so many different things. But these are the tips that we have for cadences. And we're going to give you some strategies, some techniques around this. I'm going to pass it to Gabby first. Gabby, which ones do you want to attack here?
I would say knowing your persona. I think like that is so important when you're building your outbound sales cadence. You need to know like who you're selling to, your ICP, what industry they are, and you'll want to make separate cadences for each persona. If you have one, general cadence and you're sending them all to, let's say you're selling to marketing leaders, sales leaders, RevOps leaders, like one message isn't going to resonate with all of them. So you'll need to make sure you're catering to each different persona that you sell to in a different cadence. And also just make sure you're aware of like any triggers going on. Like have the companies that you've reached out to gone through a rebrand recently? Are they hiring a bunch? If they are, then you'll want to make sure like those things are also like in your sequences and in your messaging, because those things are going to help your messaging like resonate more with your prospects and, you know, increase those responses.
Okay, so let's answer some questions. We got some good questions. We've talked about cadence for a hot minute. Right now, I want to take it back to something that's part of our process, cold calling. We did a great cold calling opener session yesterday. If you didn't catch it, that's all right. Go to our YouTube channel on YouTube, Sell Better by JB Sales, and you can watch some of the highlights that are there from John and I on that webinar. But what's the most important skill? This is from Daniel Santo Domingo. What's the most important skill that a BDR must have regarding cold calling? What do you think that skill is?
That's a tough one. I'm going to pass that to Shelly and Gabby first.
We got some good answers in here. Confidence, resilience, tonality, detach from the outcome. Great stuff in the chat. What do you guys think? Attitude, curiosity. I love those.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like detach yourself from the outcome. And yeah, like just be curious, like go into a thing that like you just want to have a conversation and you're there to learn. Because if you go into it thinking like, oh, I need to book this meeting, like you're gonna feel and sound desperate on the phone, and that's not going to make you sound confident to your prospects. So if you go into it just saying like, I just want to have a conversation and, you know, see if these people like have any interest, and just honestly like treat it like you're just trying to call a friend, I find that like will make you seem a lot more confident on the phone.
Yeah, it's just two friends talking, like somebody said in there, right? It's just a game. Hey, Rachel, I appreciate that. It's just a game. I love that. Michael, what do you got? What's that skill? I see you didn't have it, you passed it, but now you're ready.
Yeah, I just needed the inspiration from Gabby. But yeah, it's kind of similar to to what she was saying. But what we find when we do coaching is like a lot of SDRs, AE salespeople, they have these like alter egos, which is like, oh, I've got a business personality, right? So I'm going to like got this different voice. And it's either there's two extremes. One is they like sound like they hate their job and they're, hello, my name is Michael Hanson. Or they're way over the top and like, hello, this is Michael Hanson from Growth Genie. So just like talk to someone like you would talk to a friend, or like if you meet someone at an event, like inbound, just talk like that. Don't have some like alter ego, just be yourself.
That's such a good point. I used to, when I would cold call, I would have just be completely monotone, like wouldn't go up. So I would also say like, be aware if you have a problem with being monotone, like I used to, if you're aware of that and like trying to make your voice like go up and down like a wave, I found that really helped me just like make sure I sound like more confident on the phone, and get more like energy into it.
Yeah. So one of the tips that I have for cold callers is run the cold caller in front of the mirror, right? Do the mock call or do your actual cold calls with a mirror in front of you. Look at your body language and the way that you're moving and listen to your tones and see how your eyes function. Does this feel like you? Do you feel like you're being your authentic self saying these things? If not, maybe change up your strategy a little bit. Using a mirror can help us to find who we are as a seller, find our voice. Shelly, welcome back. Are you good?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. What do you think the top skill is for SDRs when they're cold calling? Jody,
I'm going to go back and steal. Yeah, I'm going to go back and steal Michael's. And I don't know if so I was in and out frozen, but I think this is what's really important. And I'm so guilty of this, right? Our inherent nature is we want that meeting. We want that signature. We want this. Like, that's the final goal. But for me, it's like, what can I get beyond just that final goal? I get it. I always want the signature. I always want the meeting, right?
Yeah.
But I also want to know, like, if I can walk, and James, I probably take a page out of your book. Like, if I could get to know somebody, that's a big thing. Like, okay, look, for instance, if they got a cup of coffee, what coffee did they get? I know that sounds too intrusive at times, but again, basic nuggets, whether it's about the person or again, what is it about the company? And so for me, and sincerity. I see Clinton popped in the chat, being sincere and not, if you can just for a minute, just say, you know what, I'm going to make this call and not push for the meeting. See what happens.
I would say the first thing, when I think about time management, I like to think about like, when am I the most productive? And so for me, like I'm a morning person. So I like to do things like my email writing in the morning, because I find that's usually like more of a daunting task. And I don't really love email writing, but I know I have a lot of energy in the morning. So I know I can like get through it all done, get it all done in the morning. And then I also like to think about, you know, when do I have the lowest amount of energy? And just make sure I'm like aware of those and make sure like the things that I put in my calendars align with that. And I think it's, you know, it's important to be, I guess, like married to your time blocks to a certain degree. But also like, don't be afraid to change them up once in a while. So at the end of your day, I think it's important to take a look at what do you have going on the next day, and like, do your time blocks still align with that? Because you don't want to go into your day and be surprised that you have to make like 30 customized videos and like 100 cold calls. You want to know about that going into your day. So I would make sure like that, you know, you're not going into your day full of surprises on what you have on the go.
I think it gets to a point where you get really good at looking at a week ahead and knowing what kind of week you're going to have. After a while, if you manage your time effectively, consistently, you start to get really good at it, just like any other skill. One of the ones that I always give is this combination of task management and time blocking, because we use Asana to manage our tasks. And sometimes we use so I have two types of tasks that I manage. One of them is pipeline tasks, right? Where I have open deals, people I'm selling to, and I have tasks in Salesforce for that. And then I have Asana tasks. If I'm looking at both of those tasks, I know I need to block off time for each thing that I need to block off time for, that I have a task for. Then I can build things like cold calling blocks and managing my manual touches in my cadences in between those times that I've blocked off. And that's how I stay productive throughout the day and keep my mind fresh. But at the same time, you don't want to have like big, giant burnout call blocks of cold calls, because if you go from 8 to noon cold calling, you're going to be burned out by the end of the day. We got some good tips here. Shelly, I see you. What do you got?
Oh, well, I'm excited because I'm shocked you didn't say this one, James, but something that I snagged from you very early on was the idea of color coding. So I love color coding my calendar. And, you know, I have a simple, if you see here, simple rule of thumb. If you think about a traffic light, right? Red, green, yellow. So green, I will block all of my revenue generating activities in green. So for instance, if it's a call with a prospect, if it's a meeting, you know, a meeting, whatever is related to revenue generating, that's green. Yellow is my prospecting blocks. And by the way, I've gotten much more granular with those too, but in general, I know yellow means I'm putting efforts into prospecting. Red is what I dub my administrative tasks. So if I need to clean up Salesforce, if I need to take an internal meeting, that these are the things that fall into the red buckets. So going back to what Gabby said earlier, is it's a visual thing for me, right? If I see from like a color perspective, like what's going on, I can almost prepare myself for what's to come. And then the second thing, very quickly, to piggyback off of what Michael said, shutting off the other apps, that is huge. I like to also now set a timer. I am not in my home office right now, but I actually bought a timer. I kid you not, where I can either put it 10, 20, 30, 60 minutes. And again, most people could be like, well, Shelly, why don't you put on your phone? Well, what happens when I open my phone, folks? You all know I'm going to be on LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever. So timers really help. They hold you accountable. So just a couple of quick techniques. Yeah. I mean, on how to maximize the time.